chickweed, cleavers, which are used for colds as well, and dandelion root to purify the blood, and hydrangea to get rid of this kind of condition, and nettle for the skin. Basically skin type things. This is sciatica, a nerve pain, that big nerve in your thigh. We use the burdock for that, and tansy. Smallpox is a skin disease, so we're using things that stimulate the liver to help the liver produce the bile, the substance to break down the waste, so we go to yarrow. We use red sage, we use raspberry leaves. To relieve the itching, mostly lemon juice is applied to that. In the old days it was tobacco. Before that, people would take a bath in baking soda to relieve itching. Scarlet fevers, things that reduce the fever again is the pleurisy root, the cat's claw, the feverfew. Cleavers is good for the respiratory system. Your thyroid gland, we use the glandular things like poke root. So I would say poke root and echinacea would be good for the thyroid gland. Testes, the testicle problems, we use the saw palmetto berries. Remember that, saw palmetto berries and posium. Always use that combination. You can combine that with mullein or chickweed. Typhoid fevers, we always use anti-inflammatory. Golden seal is one, cat's claw is another, feverfew is another. Itis, T-I-S, inflammation, cat's claw, feverfew for the inflammation again, along golden seal also. And echinacea is good for glands, so inflammation of the gland, we use echinacea with cat's claw or feverfew. And golden seal is always good as a blood purifier. Toothache, we usually use the sassafras oil or clove oil. Put it right on the tooth. Clove oil would be the most popular one. Tumors, we're into using, these days we use a lot of thuja and sanicle. There's sanicle and thuja. It's good for tumors and swelling of the glands, and swellings inside the tissue. So chickweed and coltsfoot are good for that. And as I mentioned before, thujas, sanicle, those type herbs. Sorrel is another one that's good for that. And of course tuberculosis, congestion, this type of cold, we treat it the same way with the skunk cabbage. Antiseptic type herb like myrrh, comfrey is good for cold, so we're using comfrey and skunk cabbage. Or comfrey and burdock root, or comfrey, burdock root, coltsfoot. Coltsfoot's good for cold, so is horehound, so is elecampane. So we say, let's use some elecampane. Let's use some golden seal and comfrey and treat the tuberculosis that way. We mentioned the tobacco habit, the calamus, the magnolia, and I told you about the quassia. That's very popular for that. People get stressed out when they have a habit. That's why they have the skull cap there, and the peppermint, and the catnip, and the valerian to calm the person down. Get rather stressed when you're trying to break a habit. Now, in case for those who want to drop the milk, sage is the tea that will dry it up. Camphor you can apply to the breast and dry it up as well. Typhus, pleurisy, culver's root, bone set, that's getting rid of that mucus, congestion. You just went out all around tonic herbs in the Colombo. Basically, you go to your spice cabinet again and get yourself some coriander, marjoram, that sort of thing for the tonics. Make yourself a nice tonic tea and add those to red clover, and that'll be a good tonic. For prolapsed uterus, that means uterus is falling out of its position. You can use this for prolapsed uterus, prolapsed colon. We use the witch hazel, which is astringent, the white oak bark, which is astringent. So we use witch hazel and white oak bark. Combine that with a female type herb, red raspberry. Now scalding urine, again we're back to the peach leaves is good for that. And squabine and white willow, relieve that kind of discomfort. Uchu, kubi, juniper berries, the diuretic herbs are good. Ulcers, we're trying to heal that condition. So the popular one for ulcers would be aloe vera juice and comfrey actually. But all these herbs are good, but aloe vera juice would be good to drink, and comfrey would be good, and chickweed. So I would just say the comfrey, if you have to rely on two things, the comfrey and golden seal. Varicose veins is waste in the veins, and we're trying to get it out, so you may want to use some white oak bark and witch hazel, which are astringents, to apply on the veins topically. But to get rid of that waste, you got to go back to the diet and back to maybe some horsetail combined with bayberry bark. Vaginal douche. Some people use the fennel and the marshmallow, but the very popular ones for a vaginal douche would be the marshmallow and probably the uva ursi. But they also